Alrighty, guys. Today I want to talk about something kind of easy, short, sweet, and simple. So, um, I wanted to kind of demonstrate how to get the sun's orientation on there with shadows, and to help make that more um, noticeable. So, as you can see on mine, you can see I've just put the shadows on there, right? So you can see the shadows on there, everything, and then what you can do now is something pretty cool. So you see how the shadows, which way they're going, and then you can take sun path, you put sun path on, and what you can see is where the sun is actually at. So at 4:23 p.m. in Idaho Falls, it'd be sitting right there. And see how the shadows are now sitting where they're supposed to? And that is because I've set the sun where it's supposed to be for a certain time period. And that really helps. So whenever you're building the house, like designing houses and stuff like that, you want to kind of orient the buildings and stuff like that, or stuff for shading. Same for windows, to where you can see where the sun is coming in, and to where they get the least of light, but they're able to bring light in. Because if the sun is directly on these windows, at any point in time, it's going to really rack up that energy bill, and it's going to make the house really hot. So sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. So as you can see, I've got some that are not going to be very well, like these right here. They're going to get some light, but it's not going to get a lot, because that sun is on the back side of the house. So that's just that right there. Of course, it's saying June 19th. I know it's been 10 days since that. Um, but you can see that it's got when the sun's going to be hitting right there at level with ground, and then where it's sitting at 4:23 p.m. So what you could do is come over here to the sun path, click on it, and then you'll hit sun path. So in season still. So you can have one that just stays right there. So this one right here, you can have it to where it's just lighting from a certain angle. This one's multiple days, so you can set the location, date, when it starts, when it stops, and then you can also do a single day. So this day, which is today, and then you set the time. So it could start at 12 o'clock to 12 o'clock, right? Well, 12 a.m. to 11:59 p.m. But you can also do the sunrise to sunset. Of course, it'll just do right there to there, where the sun actually comes up. You can do time intervals. You could do 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 to an hour. You could set up, and then it's going to do, how many frames that's going to be. It'll also ask you the ground plane at level, so that's wherever the sun's going to be. So wherever you're wanting that light to start. So say you wanted it to start at level 2, you see how it's now risen, and it doesn't look right. But that's just the gist of that. Down, and that's the settings for that. 1 day solar study, summer solstice, winter solstice, spring equinox, and fall equinox. You can use those also to your advantage. Now, when you're trying to set the location, this really helps. You can click here, and it shows all the weather stations. And it's pretty interesting because you have multiple different weather stations all in one area. So I think that's pretty cool. So you just type in the name, the address of it. I just typed in Idaho Falls. I could have put it one more close to where it is, but the really cool part is, to the project that I'm sitting on right now, Melaleuca Field is right here. The project is in this area right next to it. And so it's close to this river, and the closest one to it in general is going to be this one right here. So that's the one I clicked. And you can see the distances, and you can click on this one too, and it'll show that the distance from both of those are going to be equal. But for it being in town and also next to this river, I'm going to want to use this one. You can also use daylight savings time. If you click on that, it will use daylight savings. Internet mapping service, default city list. So you want to use Internet 1 because it'll pull it from the internet and it'll use what is currently being done. Weather, you can sit there and play with that. Heating design and clearness number, and then you have an internal current. That's the site and everything. I think that's what it says. Internet. Okay, never mind. It's not the same thing. Internal. And that right there is just where it's sitting. So there's that. Click OK. Once again, you can choose whatever time. And also, if you want to see what it's going to be like, let's say on the 31st, you know, that's around the time they're really worried about is in August. Again, you can see where it's at. You can click on the sun and drag it wherever you want. Let's see if I can get it. There we go. It's still saying August 31st. There you go. So the sun's relatively position is going to be right back here in August. And once again, you've got a lot of spots that are not going to be really touched. So the weird thing about this is, I mean, of course, the sun's going to be hitting a lot of these windows, but it's not going to be doing for very long. So that's a really awesome thing. So that right there, you can take it, pull it all over there. There we go. Look at that. And again, it'll show all your shadows. So there you go. That right there is going to be how you set up the sun positioning and everything, and then also where you can add the shadows. That right there just turns it off and on, and then you can still have the shadows on where it's supposed to be and still have that sun path off. That sun path does not have to be on. That's just to show you where it's at, to kind of give you an idea while you're building your like setting up your structures and everything, so that you're not sitting there with everything going on and the next year you're like, oh man, I'm gonna have so much light coming through this house. That's gonna suck. So that is it. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed.